What's going on, everybody? So right now I am in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Oh, back at Bill Stewart's place. Inside this storefront, inside this room, are some of the coolest rescue reptiles you guys have ever seen. You have some of the most, really incredible species in here, but it goes beyond that because most of the reptiles that are in here are actually rescues, aren't they?
Yeah, I've adopted them over the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
So the last time I was here was about 5 years ago when Billy opened this place. We're back here once again to do a follow-up episode to see how this place has progressed since then. So we are gonna take a tour of WPS Reptiles. I'm Dave Kaufman, and these are my reptile adventures.
Billy, it is always great to hang out with you, to be in this place. Every time I'm here, there's something new and amazing going on.
It's never ending here. There's always projects, there's always evolving, there's always things happening. I'm kind of at the spot now where this is where I like it the way it is, but my brain's always spinning. There's always new things I could try, new things we can do. And animals that need rescuing, animals that need homes, that's been so much of what I've done here now is taking in animals that need rescue. Both with myself, but mostly now with Badgerland Reptile Rescue. My wife opened Badgerland up in 2021, and so now most of the animals that I'm taking into rescue are through Badgerland Reptile Rescue. I'm adopting them, officially adopting them. I'm doing the paperwork, I'm paying adoption fees, and then they're joining my educational thing. My focus really has been on rescuing animals, rehabbing them, and using them as educational ambassadors. Not just to teach about reptiles, but to learn about ourselves.
Absolutely. And you also do reptile therapy. We're going to be talking about that in this video as well.
It's been an incredibly crazy journey.
Because what you're doing with reptiles goes above and beyond just keeping reptiles, and it's an awesome story. We're going to get into that.
Thank you.
To begin with, we've got this chair right here, and we've got this dude sitting here.
Yeah, he, when I'm here, he'll just kind of sit on the chair and hang out. He's got an enclosure in the basement that's natural. He's got natural substrate, lots of, enrichment for him. But when I'm here hanging out, Ralphie hangs out up here with me.
Ralphie.
He's, Ralphie's Argentine tegu. He's pretty popular at the shows we go to. He's super tame. A lot of kids can interact with him and pet him. When we adopted him a couple of years ago, he was pretty obese. I think he was fed a lot of inappropriate foods. And so he's been on a diet. He's kind of a healthy weight. He's got a little bit of extra skin going on his sides. We're not going to body shame him about that. But he's an incredible ambassador. Tegus are just awesome reptiles.
They are.
And yeah, you can't beat just the nature and demeanor of these animals. The intelligence of them. He's just got a little bit of wrinkles going on.
Yeah, it's all right, buddy. But look at these jowls on this guy.
He's got some big jowls. I like to tell the kids that the males get these big cheeks, so it makes them handsome for the girl tegus.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's kind of the best way to say that to children.
Right, exactly.
Whatever.
Exactly. You are a handsome dude.
He's a good boy. So there kind of is a shift happening here over the last 4 years. I've been in some of your older videos where I focused a lot more on breeding. I was working with weird gecko species, and I would use the word oddball all the time. I was really into all the oddball lizards. I still have some remnants of my old breeding stuff, but I've been breeding for 12, 15 years now, and some of those animals are no longer with us.
Right.
Some of them are. As we move on, I have some animals here that I've had for 15 years. But I want to have display animals. I want to have animals for people to come in and look at, not just interact with and hold. This is kind of my Zilla bow front setup. So all these people on social media have these really tame, really cool. Clint's Reptiles has an emerald tree skink, and it sits on your hand and whatever. And mine is insane, and I don't want to open the door.
No, open the door.
Okay, well, let's see what happens here.
Zilla has everything you need for your reptile pets, from caging to lighting and everything in between. To see their entire catalog and find out where you can get Zilla products near you, visit zillarules.com.
I don't have a friendly one. Oh, there.
Oh my God, he's behind the couch. Oh, there he goes. Oh no, buddy, come here! Oh, I almost grabbed him.
See, Dave!
Let the record show that I told you to keep the door closed.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody heard me say that.
I gotta get a tool.
All right, we're getting him out of there.
All right, so he ran under here. This place is pretty much escape-proof, but we're gonna go catch him, put him back in there, and then we're gonna continue. You got him?
No.
Oh boy.
I have to coax him out.
We have success. Look at this dude, though.
Yeah.
I've never seen one that spazzy.
I have a lot of spazzy animals.
All right, so put him safely back and we'll move on. Now down here, we've got my favorite rock iguana.
Yeah, that's a rhino iguana. A rescue somewhere in the United States had gotten a group of males that were surrendered to them, and I was able to take one in and adopt it. I've had him for about a year now. So much of being here is doing not just the animals in the cages. You have to make sure the animals are taken care of. You have to make sure the cages are clean. But I have to be the building maintenance guy and make sure that this is done and swept and mopped and all that stuff. And so I kind of took a break from doing like the really cool decorated bibs.
Yeah.
But now that I got this place where I want it, I can get back into doing that.
So talking about rescues, right here, we've got a pretty special dude right here.
Yeah, this is Milo. He is a Rankins. I don't know his age. I can't remember his age.
Right.
But he came to me missing his arms.
Oh, dude.
So Tadpole would have been a really cool name for him.
Yeah, that really would have been.
But he's awesome when I'm doing education with youth, with special needs or whatever. His limitation of not having his arms really doesn't hold him back. I have some thicker branches in here for him to climb up. He can chase crickets just fine. He isn't showing any limitation because he doesn't have his arms. He's a superstar. I don't know if it was a birth defect where he was born this way or if something happened after he was born.
So Rankins dragons aren't the central bearded dragons that we all know and love. There's a few here, but I was just in Australia where I was filming for the Bearded Dragon movie, which is coming up soon. We traveled all over Australia, found central bearded dragons, eastern bearded dragons, and yes, we did in fact find the Rankins dragons, and I filmed their entire habitat in Australia. The Bearded Dragon movie is coming up. All right, enough shameless plug, let's move on.
Let's move on. These are enclosures that I kind of got up to be more display. I was excited about them. They were custom built for me. They're not PVC, they're made out of wood. They're pretty sturdy. I have to recut some of the glass because the acrylic didn't cut right.
Yeah.
But this is Utila Island iguana, Baker Eye iguana.
Baker Eye.
I still work at Zilla. I'm still working in the lab, but the lab at Zilla has shifted, so it no longer has a bunch of the unique animal species it used to have. Now it's more for research and development. And so when the lab shifted, I got to take home the Baker Eye.
Nice.
They were Thai Park produced Baker Eye, Utila Island iguanas, and he's a beast. He's just super amazing.
The thing I love about these iguanas is that huge comb. It gets so big that it literally flops over.
Yeah.
They are the coolest iguanas.
Yeah, they're super cool.
All right, so down here we have a beardy.
Yeah, this is Callisto.
Callisto.
This is another animal that we came through the rescue. She's got a tough shed going on right now.
Yeah, she really
But she's
does.
a silkback. In fact, I'm gonna soak her. We soak her 3 or 4 times a week. We put mineral oil on her. Humidity is always a problem here in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But silkback bearded dragons have this constant shed issue. She came to us missing some of her tail. She came to us missing some of her toes. Because she's a silky, I've got to keep her. I don't put like natural substrates or like tree bark. I don't want her to get cut or scratched or infected or anything like that.
Sure.
She's like hamster bedding.
Yeah, it works.
So sometimes in rescue, we get a lot of ball pythons, we get a lot of leopard geckos, we get a lot of the common species. Sometimes we get fortunate enough to get some really cool or unique animals and we can adopt them and use them for education. This little sweetheart came to the rescue. His name is Franklin. He's just a one and a half year old Hermans.
Hi,
Franklin. And he's a popular dude when we do our birthday parties and educational events. People get to hang out with Franklin.
It's interesting because we are so used to seeing adult Hermann's tortoises and Russian tortoises and that whole complex. We don't really get to see how beautiful their shells are when they're young like this.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
And we have an adult female named Thor. When I adopt animals, whatever name they were given, I keep the name.
Oh, that's nice.
A lot of times these animals are missexed. So we have a male redfoot named Tulip. I have a female Hermann's named Thor. Cool, whatever, right?
Well, right,
Matter?
yeah, absolutely.
And when I have people come through to interact at the storefront, a lot of the stuff's on display. But like the tortoise pens are open, and under supervision, kids are allowed to kind of pet and interact with things. I adopted Ivysaur from AJ Hallett and Be Wild Rescue.
So
this is a little hingeback.
Yeah, this is a little hingeback, and
I'm kind of becoming more of a turtle and tortoise sucker lately in the last few years. I love tortoises, I love turtles, and I have a few aquatic turtles, but mostly tortoises. I'm just amazed by them. They're just beautiful animals.
Yeah.
And they're so gentle. And like, no one's afraid of a turtle. No one's afraid of a tortoise, really. You know, I know people afraid of spiders or afraid of snakes.
Sure.
Usually people aren't afraid of a tortoise. These guys are cool too because they're like staple diets like bugs and mushrooms, which is really unusual for a tortoise to have like a higher protein diet.
Right here, we've got a bunch of tortoises.
We do. Look, Dave, I changed that water when you got here. We scrubbed that bowl and we cleaned that water when you got here.
That was crystal clear. Literally 15 minutes
ago. The joy of keeping tortoises. Oh, look what we're gonna do. We're not gonna do that, buddy.
Oh, look what. Yes. So, leopard tortoises are known to give little presents to show their affection.
I know. I'm so thrilled.
Yes, you cannot wash that off, otherwise you will offend this tortoise.
You would.
Yes.
I know. I'm gonna have to walk around like this forever.
Yeah.
It looks like the spinach they give you in middle school.
Yeah, true.
I don't want to talk about that.
Well, try it.
I know a lot of people.
Spinach they give you in middle school.
You want to?
No, I don't.
I know a lot of people who keep leopards with redfoots. I think that's kind of an interesting dynamic because redfoots are pretty notoriously tropical.
Right.
Where these guys necessarily aren't.
And from two opposite continents.
From opposite sides of the continent. But he does okay in there. I usually only keep him in there temporarily. But that's my redfoot pen.
Right.
And I'm going to wash my hands.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Here.
All right, moving on.
At Dubia.com, they raise all their quality insects in-house and ship them directly to you. And now you can get 10% off all your live insects by using the coupon code RATTLEON. Catch the link in the description below.
I'm going to slide this over. I got to finish the background in here. I got to make this pretty. But last time you were here, you got to meet Jake.
Yep. And I remember Jake, and Jake was just a small little dude.
Jake's gotten bigger. Jake has gotten bigger. So, just to kind of refresh our memories, I adopted Jake. I've had Jake for 4 years now. I adopted Jake when he was 13, so he's 17 years old now. He should be a full-size gator-ish, right? He was profoundly stunted when I adopted him. And if you go back in the old video, I had Jake. He was a little bit smaller. He had MBD really bad, so one of his back legs is broken. He was skin and bones when I got him. He couldn't grow his teeth back. I brought Jake to, I kept Jake for a couple of years, and then last summer I brought him to the vet. We did a x-ray on his bones, and his bones are super strong. We did blood work, and we did a full checkup and a full physical, and besides being stunted, he's healthy. He is also a she, so we still call her Jake. Yep, exactly. So Jake is a girl. We did a gender reveal here. It was really cool. But she's thriving. She's doing a lot better now.
And it looks like she grew back all her teeth.
She grew back all her teeth. Her back leg is healed, but it's a little, when she walks on land, it's shaped a little funny. So it's a little twisted. I know, I'm sorry, honey.
Careful, you have a spinach-making rock behind you.
I will move. I do have to keep Jake in a smaller viv still, just because we're still doing some of that physical activity. Jake has deeper, I think the last time I saw you, I had to keep Jake in like 6 inches of water so her feet could touch the ground. Yeah. She was in like a 6 foot trough or whatever. I've built this bigger viv. She comes out of the water. She seems to be a little bit more mobile, but I have to keep her in something smaller still just because she can get so fatigued. Right. We do occasional education with her, but I don't like to bring her out all the time. I don't want her to get stressed out. Right. But I would rather have people hang out with me and meet the gator than go get their own.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. All right, so we are moving on to Lizard Lane here. Look at this cool area rug that you got down here.
It's just an Amazon purchase to help make it look clean and slick.
That is fantastic.
Back here is more of like the remnants of the old school breeding days.
Right.
So I do have some, leftover animals from back when I was breeding. Dave, let me open this door and showcase. Oh, we just dipped.
The Tortoise.
Yeah. I tried.
These guys are pretty epic for a number of reasons.
I love Tortoise. They have always been my favorite gecko. So the female, she's an old lady. She's kind of skinny right now. She's, I've had her a while, so she's an old lady. There's Beast. He's 160 grams, so he's a really big tokay. They don't breed anymore. I don't know their age, but I bought this pair as a breeding pair in 2010. I've had this pair since then. Tokays are probably my favorite gecko. I just think they're amazing. There's a few little random oddball things. A lot of these cages are empty now. The inhabitants have passed on because I've had them just forever. And so I'm cleaning them, I'm decorating them. I don't want to like totally scrub them out because they do have like isopod springtails, they're natural vivs. So I just need to kind of let nature take its course and then we can find some new animals, some new inhabitants.
There you go. And right behind you over here, we've got this dude.
Yeah, this is like my Wisconsin tank. I know goldfish aren't from Wisconsin.
Well,
but I do have a spiny soft shell. There's a couple musk turtles in there. People take animals from the wild. They really shouldn't. And then once they're 100%. Taken from the wild, they can't go back into the wild. So I do work with Wisconsin DNR to take in animals. Not all of them are like, you know, most reptiles in Wisconsin are protected. Right. But you're not going to get necessarily in trouble like you would with the ornates. Right. But the DNR, the police will call me and say, hey, can you take this? Can you take that? And so Badgerland Reptile Rescue specifically works really closely with the Wisconsin DNR to, you know, if we need to take in animals that can't be put back into the wild for whatever reason. Very, very cool. Yeah. I'm not about like buying reptiles really anymore. I did my time. That was a lot of fun. I like taking in animals for rescue.
I mean, you keep some reptiles in here that everybody's heard of, bearded dragons, leopard geckos, things like that. But you also keep reptiles that are kind of a little bit more difficult to keep, and that is right down here.
Yeah, that's a chuckwalla. Look at his sand on his head. What was he up to?
He was doing chuckwalla stuff.
He was doing chuckwalla stuff. They're in the iguanid family. Right. They're native to the United States. And yeah, they're just a fascinating lizard.
All right, so look at this dude. Bye.
Let's check this out. This is kind of a simple looking viv. But in here, our Sepisoides, the wedge-snouted skink. Yes. So here's one of my adults. I have 1.2 in here.
Then you just saw a baby.
Yeah, did you see that?
Yeah.
So I am breeding these guys. I'm mixing all that dirt in there. So here, okay, there's one. So this is a year old. These guys live as a family. They live as a group. I don't have to separate the babies. In fact, when I was finding babies, I was separating them and they were dying. So as soon as I started keeping the babies in here, they have been doing fine. There's 1.2, and they are a live birth skink. So then every once in a while when I go sifting through here, find a little baby.
Find a little baby.
This is a newborn. That's a really little one.
Look at that little dude.
He's got his little tail nip, so they do have a little bit of that going on.
But that may be just a couple of days old.
Yeah. I have to feed these guys constantly.
What do they eat?
This is the strangest thing. So I feed them, the babies eat fruit flies, the baby eats like pinhead crickets, tiny mealworms. Yeah. They also eat Pangea.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
that's surprising.
How would they have access? Well, nothing has access to Pangea in the wild.
Well, I've been to New Caledonia and I saw lots of Pangea in New Caledonia.
Pangea all over the floor?
That's where they get it from.
Is that where they harvest it from?
Yeah, they go and they harvest it in New Caledonia and then put it in little bags and sell it at expos. That's where it comes from.
I do like educating people on reptiles, and so when I do like a presentation with, you know, just like your standard reptile presentation, so bringing snakes and lizards and turtles and tortoises. But when people come through here, I do like having oddball stuff too. So some of these lizards are cool to kind of showcase.
All right, so now that we've had a really amazing tour of Billy's place here, I want to just sit here with Ralphie. I almost called him Gus Gus.
No, Gus Gus is
Gus
awesome.
Gus is black and white too.
Shout out Gus Gus.
Gus Gus. But I do want to talk a little bit about the work that you're doing with reptile therapy, because this is really amazing and pretty unique.
It is very unique,
right,
and I've been
yeah,
he just wants to hide behind you. I've been so just like blown away with like the reception that I've gotten, not just in the reptile community, but in the mental health community. Right. When I'm talking to the mental health community about reptiles, and I'm talking to the reptile community about mental health, and trying to find that overlap, and it's just been incredible. I've been keeping reptiles since I was a kid, and I've always been fascinated by them. We all have. Everyone has that same story. But I've been a therapist for a long time as well. I started working professionally in mental health in like 1994. And so I'm dating myself. But in learning about animal behavior and in learning about reptile defense mechanisms and learning about fight or flight responses that we talk about in the reptile community, so much of that applies to childhood mental health and childhood behaviors, particularly kids who have experienced traumatic experiences in their lives. There's so many elements to this reptile therapy that I'm doing where at the surface level, having a child with like ADHD or anxiety interacting with a snake or interacting with a lizard, they're gonna like I'm gonna grab their attention, I'm gonna keep that attention, they're gonna stay focused, they're gonna have that conversation, and sometimes too, having a conversation with someone where they're interacting with a lizard or a snake makes it less intimidating than that conventional therapy, tell me how you're feeling, you know?
Why won't you open up to me?
Why won't you tell me what's wrong?
It's not intimidating or anything.
Yeah, and especially kids, they're gonna be like, don't talk to me. And then having these conversations, you know, and it allows kids to open up in a more comfortable mode, because they might not be talking about themselves. We're talking about a reptile, but we're relating it back to ourselves. So I do reptile therapy groups in Kenosha, and Kenosha as a community, we had that situation in 2020 during the pandemic with the riots and Kyle Rittenhouse that was right down the street.
Right.
In 2021, Waukesha, Wisconsin had an incident where a gentleman drove a truck through a parade.
I remember
and
that.
so I do reptile therapy groups in Waukesha for the children that were impacted by that parade incident. And there was a little girl who came, I can't say names, but there was a young girl who came to the group who previously had been really quiet, really not wanting to talk about her incident, kind of holding in a lot of those thoughts. And the mother had commented that since attending the group, she has been more open in processing what her memories were, what her fears are, and she's working with a therapist, and she's kind of, the group acted as a catalyst to help her feel comfortable in talking about her own experiences and her own feelings. And I can't describe how incredibly powerful of a feeling that is. I think it can be hard to talk directly about ourselves. And especially when we're children, we don't want to be judged, we don't want to think we're bad, we don't want to think we're wrong. Talking about our feelings and our secrets can be really intimidating and scary, especially to a stranger that doesn't know us. And so I think it's a safer environment where instead of talking about what I've been through, I can talk about the lizard's experiences. So we'll talk about Ralphie and the rescue situation with Ralphie. Or I'll talk about this animal and how I adopted this animal from this situation.
Yeah.
And I think it just gets the kids' wheels turning. And I think especially with kids, talking about the reptile defense mechanisms is a safer conversation. And then it gets their wheels turning where maybe they previously didn't know how to put into words what they were experiencing. You know, kids have all the feelings, but they don't have the vocabulary. And that's where you see a lot of the behaviors. That's where you see aggression, or acting out, or withdrawal, or kids shutting down. And so I think maybe the dialogues about the reptiles and the defense mechanisms help give the kids the words where they can now express their feelings where they weren't able to before.
We all love reptiles, obviously, but we tend to think of them as these really awesome, colorful animals with these amazing personalities. There's a whole reason, a whole catalog of reasons why we love reptiles. But to use them in therapy to actually help people, it's wild. It's incredible.
It's wild. Thank you.
So Billy, the work that you're doing, not only with reptile rescue, but reptile therapy, you are one incredible dude.
Thanks a lot.
It is an honor to call you my
I'm
friend.
so glad you got to come back down here.
And I want to come back here and see how this place is growing, see what new animals you have down here, and I will do a follow-up video next time I'm down here. So Billy, where can we find you on socials?
So I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. I do have some YouTube videos up. A lot of my social media stuff right now is more specifically about the reptiles and about the education. I do want to start incorporating some of the therapy elements into it.
That would be great.
WPS Reptiles on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram.
I will put those links in the description below. So Billy, again, thank you for having me over.
Dude.
So guys, as always, thanks for watching, and until the next reptile adventure, love the planet, feed your reptile obsession, and rattle on.